And good morning, welcome to the Olympian Table
Good
on this
morning.
fine
You
fine
wish.
Friday, Wednesday. I wish it was Friday. We would be gone.
Man,
It'd be weekend time. How you doing, James?
I'm well, man. I am well. Can't complain. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, doing good. A little bit sad about the Queen, obviously being a Brit, and
Yeah.
you know, um, it's sad, you know, and to see some of the comments online makes me even more sad.
Sound is perfect.
She was pushed into this job not by choice, but
Right.
because of the way the family line went. She was pushed in at 21, did the job till 96, dedicated to it every day of her life. And then, there is a portion of people out there that just don't realise what she gave to a nation, and quite genuinely, I mean, it's like starting a job at 21 years old. Then
Right.
you don't retire till 96 years old, and
And are you really retiring? You just kind of,
you're not.
your life ends. It's
And
always.
then what really upsets me as well is people turn around and say that, oh well, the people pay for the royal family, but the royal family actually balances out because they're the largest landowners, so they generate a lot of their income through leasing to farmers. They're big environmentalists. With global warming as well. I think that's very important. Prince Charles is very much into the global warming thing. They lease their castles out for viewings and showings. They employ a lot of people. They employ a lot of farmers. And they give the country a lot of stability on the farming side. And that's one of the reasons why you've got such beautiful scenery when you drive the country. And people just don't realise what they give. And the number one group of people that support the royal family are Americans.
Tourist. Yeah.
And it's just very, very sad to see some of the comments that are coming in, because they really don't. I've had the pleasure of meeting four of the royal family through Olympics and through sports management, opening different ice rinks and different things. And I feel very honoured. They've always been very humble. They've always been very interested in what you do. Whether that's good training or what, I don't know. But I think it's just a way of life to them.
Right.
And I've always said to everybody, I would not like an inch of their life. It's not as if they can go to the pub and have a
I don't think
pint.
anyone could handle it. And it's just, it's
People
not
don't
for everyone.
understand
Yeah.
it. People say about Harry and Meghan, but to me, my opinion is, and everybody's going to have an opinion about this, what I'm going to say, but Meghan knew what she was getting into, and then I agree with Harry not being able to wear his military uniform. Yeah, I agree with that, and I agree with Andrew as well. And in every family you have problems. In every family you have differences. So it's like it's expected, but no matter what, she stood firm. She was always there to love them no matter what. She was always there to support them no matter what.
Yeah, I agree with you. Some of the comments that have been made, and of course, people that don't know, they're detached. These keyboard warriors is what I call them. Just about stuff that they don't really know anything of firsthand. Did some of it happen? Did Britain grow in and do something? Yeah, absolutely. But many nations
they did,
right? But
absolutely.
She's died. Let's have some respect for.
The Dutch did the same thing.
Not there's plenty of nations that have done it. The Mayans, the Aztecs. There's been tons of
And
it.
here's the part that actually, believe it or not, I was watching Fox News the other day.
No.
And I watched Fox News.
They're gonna take your card, man.
And I was watching Fox News, and I was basically saying that a lot of the countries that the monarch originally had have been taken over by dictators. They've gone bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
They're all in a complete mess. The only country that really came out with anything, was India. India came out of it,
Right.
pretty well because of the architecture even that we left people. But a lot of it was just totally destroyed.
Yeah.
And then, there was a comment actually from CNN from one of the commentators that I really detested the other day, where he said, "Oh well, that there's the Diamond of India. That the British have still got that. Well, do you know what? We left you more than what the Diamond of India is worth.
Yeah.
So
my thing is,
let's consider
this,
it a
the
trade.
woman has passed on. Anyone can have some respect for the dead. I mean, it's just, I don't know. If you got a comment, that's great. But why weren't you making this comment a month ago or 2 months ago? Why now that I've gone on to glory? You want to bring up this stuff that I wasn't alive, I wasn't a part of. I was thrust into this position, much like,
At
Charles.
21 years old.
Yeah, as a young woman, I was just thrust into it. So, I don't know. People are going to say what they're going to say. We can't control them.
And I really believe it was always her. And it's coming out now that she died of a bone disease.
Okay.
But I think it was her last wish to die in Balmoral up in Scotland, because she was always very close to Balmoral.
Now, I heard, and I don't know if this is truth, that Prince Philip has been in hold in state, really, because they had to keep his body preserved, so to speak, until she passed, so they could bury her, and then he'd be buried alongside her.
I don't know about the holding part, but they will be buried next to one another.
Yeah, so I mean,
and I believe they're going to be buried in Windsor Castle.
Maybe, yeah. That's what I've heard. That they've just kind of, for lack of better words, kind of kept him on ice.
They're not buried; they're interned.
Right. They've kind of kept him, preserved, for so to speak, and until it was her turn, which it was just last year that he passed.
Right. And I think that was part of the reason why I don't think she could hold on without.
Might have went downhill a little bit faster. Yeah.
It's been a sad week. It's been a bit of a challenging week. I'm across here in the pond, but you feel the pain and you watch the TV. You see it on TV every day. You see people crying. The football team, I support Aston Villa. One of the players there, Ashley Young. Even they had a day of mourning, and he took all his family from Birmingham to London to.
Right.
What people don't realise, it's not just like a regular burial; it's a whole week of of procedures.
Yeah, I can think back.
When was you last in London?
I actually haven't been to London.
Really?
I haven't been to
All
London.
the travelling you've done, and you haven't.
I haven't been. It's never been a draw for me. Honestly, yeah. Because I told my wife that.
I think you'd enjoy it because of the Tower of London. I mean, you've got, where all the people were tortured. We could bring Trump down and torture him under the Tower of London. That'd be fine.
Yeah, I've been to Paris and some of the other ones, Italy and those things. What's that?
What did you think of Paris?
It was underwhelming, quite frankly. You go and you hear about it all the time.
What do you think of the food?
The pizza was good.
Pizza in Paris.
Yeah, we had some pizza, but I don't know. It was, even my wife, who always wanted to go, which now she wants to go back when it's nighttime so she can see the Eiffel Tower.
Did you go to Mount Mars?
And we went to. There was a whole stretch that we went through. So of course we saw the flagship Louis Vuitton store, and the Eiffel Tower and the Louvre and all of that on that whole strip. That's there. We went through all of that. But I just wasn't. I wasn't wowed.
Yeah, when we were skating, we did some shows there, and we went to, I think it was a place called Mount Mart or something like that. I haven't got the French accent, but it was like a little mountain, if you want to, over Paris, and it was really neat.
It was cool.
It was like a square,
right?
And there was artists there.
Okay, I think I know you mean. It was cool to see the Notre Dame. It was right after that whole fire taking place.
Notre Dame was pretty good.
Yeah,
as well.
It was cool to see that. But I don't know. Is it calling my name to go back? No.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It isn't.
A friend of mine got married in France, so we went across for his his marriage, and it was like 24 hours of eating and drinking.
Really?
Yeah, it was.
That's one heck of a party.
Yeah.
One heck of a party.
Just be too much for me, especially when I'm epileptic and I can't drink. But anyway, so let's move on to something which I think is pretty common, if you want to. All these funds that are raising money for different causes. You've got the wall thing with Bannon, okay? Correct? He's in court at the moment. I don't know what the outcome was of that. And then you brought this to all our attention, which is Black Lives Matter executive accused of siphoning 10 million from a Black Lives Matter fund.
So apparently there's been talk of money mismanagement in the organization altogether. So let me just put it out there right now. The sentiment of Black Lives Matter, I am 100% behind. I know people are like, well, all lives matter. And yeah, I get it. I understand that. But I'm 100% behind that. The organization Black Lives Matter, I am not. Just hands down, period. Just because of how things are structured, I can't personally.
For what? I mean, for what reason? Because it leads to violence?
No.
You feel the wrong people are in charge of it. You feel it's not organized properly. You don't feel.
Because the money itself, if we're collecting all of this money, these families that were affected, the Floyd family, the Martin family from Trayvon Martin, the Castile family, all of those ones, that's where that money should have been going, to help those that were basically kind of got your organization to the forefront, that made it a household name, right?
Uh-huh.
But if you're spending this money on yourself or your brothers and your siblings and parents and those kinds of things, I don't think that's it's not being handled properly as an organization. What they put together and how they brought people together to get behind this message, absolutely, 100%, I'm with it. But the reputation of how the organization is managed as far as the funds go and them really truly helping the family, because I feel like there should be an out front kind of picture of how that money is being dispersed. And when you find out that $10 million of it was siphoned to go to one of the brothers or siblings or whoever of the organization, that's a bit fishy to me. That's and people are filing lawsuits because of that.
And you see, this is one of the reasons why, I say to you all the time about these 50c3s and churches not paying their taxes. Even if they don't pay their taxes, and that's not the issue, there should be a full reporting process where they have to do that.
You mean for churches?
Well, for churches, for organisations like this, where they have to report their financials.
Well, there are.
I know
that's how they get caught, right?
But it's like they're never enforced. Maybe they're late, or maybe there's something that goes on. I know of one organisation, as we speak now, that's a so-called charity that haven't filed their taxes for like 4 or 5 years.
Oh yeah, that's.
Well, there's windows for that. I mean, the IRS is, of course, overloaded.
And I'm not saying there's taxes involved in that, but it's
sure.
just their financial accountability.
Sure. And filing late, let's just say filing late is not an implication of any guilt of anything. That's just that happens. But when you find something where there's an accusation of $10 million
and it's
basically being taken.
And it's not chump change.
Yeah, that's not chump change at all. $10 million is a lot of money. And, when it starts to look like, you got nepotism in the organization and, you're becoming rich. I've talked to you before about even our Congress people and senators. They get rich off of being in power and this money just kind of gets moved around. But in situations like this where the money is coming from donors, I don't expect us to donate $2 million to you and to try to help you out because of some cause that you have, and then all of a sudden you pop up and now you're driving a Bentley. or some Alfa Romeo something or another. That it just looks fishy. It looks fishy. It's like, where is the money really going to where it's supposed to go? Are they guilty of anything? No, you're proven innocent until you're found guilty. But it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
It doesn't look good for $10 million to be siphoned over um, to that. So I don't know, man. It's my thought. I saw it and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And it was more interesting just to see who reported it, quite frankly, because CNN was the one that leaked the news. But I think they're trying to change the tenor over there with the organization.
They are.
And just report the news. But it is what it is, man. Yeah. It is what it is. So moving on. Speaking of money, so my this kind of stood out to me because my cousin is planning to move to Seattle in a few months, and it looks like that they have a teacher strike. I don't know if it's as of today. It's still active, but I know as of Sunday, there was no school in Seattle, and because they didn't start school. I think they started last week, but the teachers are in strike over the pay and classroom support. And I hear teachers talk about pay all the time. Classroom support, I hear about that as well. And this topic was interesting to me because here it is, you have students who, some have probably been out because of COVID, and then here you are now, they're not going to school because the teachers are not being paid what they felt like they should be paid. And the Education Association in Seattle is behind the strike. 95% of them voted to approve, just go on strike so the kids can just sit at home and not do anything. But it's Washington State. That's one of those blue ones over there. So what do you say? What say you? Teachers make enough money or they don't make enough money? What are your thoughts?
I don't think they do make enough money.
How much? What's a fair wage for a teacher?
Well, let me tell you from personal experience. All right, I know a teacher who started off part-time about 13 years ago. She works at a university. When she first joined that university, in her particular department, there was about 9 teachers. Some of them were part-time, some of them were full-time. Obviously with COVID, when they went on to Zoom and they went on to, virtual, some of them, the teaching methods changed.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're in a position where some of them teachers don't want to go back. Some of them teachers want more pay because they're traveling and they've got gas money and such like. And, gas is sort of holding out for the time being, but
it'll go up after the election.
I think it could go up a little bit.
It will. Heard it here first.
But I just feel that I'm actually a supporter of unionization. I don't think unionization does any harm at all, as long as it's done in the right methods. I don't believe in all the rioting and all the stuff that you see with it. But I do feel that it gives a united front and a better communication to the management. But I do think that there needs to be rules with that. But going back to your original question with the teachers, a country's future depends on science and technology and new developments for the new world. And I think teachers are the start of that. Amen. And so, I don't know what they're getting paid at the moment. Do we know what they're getting paid at the moment?
Teachers? Mm-hmm. If you had to guess, wage-wise, what would you, just for Houston, let's just say Houston ISD, which is honest one of the lower ones in the state.
I'm going to compare it with some of my staff.
Okay.
All right. I would have said about 50 to 65.
And you be about right.
Yeah, that's about actually in the ballpark.
Yep, you be about right. Now Crosby, they're closer to almost 70,000 for teachers. Now, I'm not gonna make any friends on this, but that's a handsome salary.
By today's standard, yes.
Absolutely.
Today's standards,
I'm not one that feels that teachers don't make enough money.
My only criticism of the system today is that I feel there's a lot of people out there that tie the teachers' hands behind their back.
That part.
The teachers can't do what they used to do.
And that's from the top, though.
And that causes part of the problem.
I think that's from the top. They don't allow teachers to be able to use their creative muscles the way that because they're so hung up on these standardized tests that, of course, generate and bring a revenue to the districts. But quite frankly, 60 to 70,000 to teach students with weekends off every weekend, the holidays off, 2 months in the summer. That's not a bad salary, bro. I'm sorry. I don't fall in the group that feel like teachers don't make enough money. I think teachers, to your point, their hands are tied a lot. And I think, this is just me, I think corporal punishment should be in the schools because you have students now that they'll fight a teacher. They'll come in and punch you in the face, and you're not supposed to do anything.
And they know
you can't do anything. Yeah. I'm like, no. When I was in school, the teachers could swat you with a paddle, a thick paddle. So you did not cross a teacher. You just didn't do it.
I went to a private,
especially the scary ones.
I went to a private school that was worse than that.
It was worse than what? Getting a swat, a paddle?
Uh-huh.
Well, could they punch you?
No. They had a ruler, just a regular ruler. I mean, they would smack that across your hands faster than
hands, bro. I have had a thick.
We used to go to school on a Saturday morning.
I've had a thick wooden paddle with holes drilled in it.
Oof.
Swat me on my hind parts, my cheeks.
No wind resistance.
No wind resistance. Pow! That is terrifying to get from a teacher. It's like, man, you don't want to do that. But now these students, and I blame the parents, these students know that the teachers can't do anything. Even if your life is in danger, these teachers, their hands are tied. That is why I feel sorry for teachers. Not because of the pay. It's because their hands are tied when it comes to defending themselves and truly being able to get into the classroom to do what they were trained to do.
Mm-hmm.
Educate and elevate the minds of these future leaders in our country.
Unfortunately, because they have so much on their plate that they can't do it, we don't have.
Well, they've cut, but they've. I feel they've. My experience is they've cut the number of teachers to educate.
They did.
I mean, I think that they should. I don't know how you do it, but I think there needs to be a number of students recommended in a class. I mean, I went to a private school.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we had 18 people in our class.
Well, that's great for private school.
But what's a public school? How many people would be in a public school? How many students in a public school?
800, 900.
Like a high school or?
Yeah, no, in a class.
In a class.
Oh,
well,
it could be 30 kids in a class.
Well, 30 is on the high side, right? That is not ideal, but there can definitely be 30 in a classroom. But that's a lot of freaking students.
Yeah. Right, and then how do you control them?
Yeah, that's an issue.
That is the major
that is an issue.
Because you can, all
right. That's when your policeman comes in place.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they can't. No, they can't really do. No, even though.
But they do. But that's what happens. The teachers end up getting involved with the what do they call them, the policemen over here in the classes.
You mean in the constable? The constable. Yeah,
that's some kind of officer. I forget what they call it.
They give them a fancy name.
Courtesy officer or some kind of officer. Yeah. But yeah, it's a
the problem children. That's when they get involved and have a little chat with them on the side.
Mathematically speaking, if you take out the 2 months in the summertime, Man, teachers are making about 30, 40 bucks an hour, man. Easy.
Which isn't bad in this.
It's not.
Even in this.
It's not bad. So I'm not one to I'm not one to say, hey, teachers don't make enough money. No, I don't believe that. Teachers aren't given the freedom to be able to do what they need to do in their systems. We had a comment that says, my first paddling was in first grade. I was teacher's pet and an A+ student after that. See? That turned it around. First grade. Good Lord, what were you doing in first grade to get a paddling? I don't think I got my first one until probably third grade or so. I got my first paddling. But my issue was I talked too much. That was my problem. But yeah.
Don't go away.
Yes. It was I think it should come back, quite frankly. If the teachers have to put their lives on the line to protect these students, they should be able to swat them hind parts if they're acting up. I believe that. If they're acting up, there should be some kind of
let's move on to another point. That's the next step up from this, if you want to. Do you think it's even worthwhile getting a university education in today's world?
No.
I don't either.
No.
I think it's a total and utter waste of money.
I think you're better off learning a trade, electrician, plumber, mechanic, something that we're going to use. If you're not going into one of the STEM categories, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, no, it's not.
One of the things I want to sort of say is in Europe, it's really interesting how the education system's set up. You go to high school till you're 16. Then when you're 16, you're supposed to make a decision whether you want to go into formal education, which is called A levels. Mm-hmm. So that might be chemistry, physics, maths, English, and all that stuff. Then you take that. Then you take 2 years of that classes. Then you move on and see if you can qualify for university. Or you go to what they call a technical school, where you learn the trades like carpentry, electrics, and you might go there 2 days a week or 3 days a week while you work with, a company, so you've got some sort of income coming in. And I think that's a better system. But quite honestly, the problem over here is, you by the time you're 30, you've got a loan for 20 grand, 30 grand, and then how do you move on with your life? You've got that loan, and is it really worthwhile getting that loan? Well, what's your feeling on the loan forgiveness?
I think it's a bunch of crap. It's just something to dangle out there to get some votes in November, quite frankly. The problem is not the loan companies. The problem is how much it costs to get an education in this country.
That is true.
How much the schools charge to go to their school. We can go to school right now, HCC, Alvin Community College, or one of the other ones, and we get, let's say the first 2 years could probably cost us $5,000.
Okay.
Hold on, let me finish this point. $5,000 for the first 2 years at one of the community colleges, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You do that same 2 years at UT, and it'll cost you $50,000.
Trust me, this is why I went to community.
It makes no sense.
Right, I agree.
You get the same level
of
education. Of course, that matters, and the cost of it is ridiculous. But because that's a big Power 5 school in Austin, it's going to cost 10 times as much to get the same classes there. And when you graduate, now mind you can't finish at Alvin Community College or HCC. You have to transfer to another one. But let's say you go to U of H. So U of H will probably cost you another $12,000 to $15,000 a semester to go. But you graduate from U of H with a degree, and let's say it costs you in total $60,000 in student loans. Oh, yeah. How about the school around the corner at Rice? It'll cost you $200,000 for the same degree.
Well, what are the other parts that we've gone through? My daughter, I'm very proud of, Jill, she's at Texas State, out in St. Marcos.
That's my school,
right?
Yeah.
And she's ahead of everything, and she's doing
Fast track.
a master's in business
Ooh.
in international finance, and she's ahead of the game.
So
She's got 18 months to go.
that's math.
But we've paid for this. We've struggled for everything. We paid to pay this for, to get through. My wife particularly, more than me.
Paying for the masters too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. We've struggled to get this through. So because it's always been our goal that when she gets through college, she doesn't have any debt. All right.
That's a beautiful sentiment, and I'll have something after you finish.
And I know what you're saying, but are they going to appreciate it? Is what you're going to say. But the truth of the matter is, quite honestly, I don't know if even there's a job out there for her.
That's another problem.
That's the other thing. There's no guarantee. Once you finish all of this schooling, even though she's debt free, you guys aren't.
And she's a smart cookie. I mean,
Right.
she's 97% up in the class.
Yeah, that's a benefit. So my question is, why couldn't she get some academic scholarships?
Mm-hmm.
Apply for some of those things. Why didn't she? Because mom and dad was going to pay for it. Oh, my parents will pay for it. I'm not going to try, even though she probably could have gotten some. But we spoil our kids to the point to where we give it to them in hopes that they'll appreciate it, putting ourselves in a position to where we end up ultimately with the debt. Because let's say she graduates and she gets the MBA in international finance, and she says, I want to be a comedian.
Yeah. Well, she's talking now in the program that she's doing. She's got to go abroad for 3 months.
Oh, okay.
So she has to go to a foreign country for 3 months. So China's on the thing, but I don't know if the economy's going to support that for 3 months. We'll see.
Now she could probably do that in Japan.
Mm-hmm. There's a number of countries out there that program works with a number of countries. So
well, let me just point this out. So I don't know if you know David Allen Greer, arguably one of the funniest comedians to come out of the In Living Color sketch show that was back in the day. He does a few things out here now. David Allen Greer, brilliant mind, funny. I've always respected him as a comedian. Guess where he went to college?
Houston.
Got his MBA from Yale University.
Jeez.
Yale. And I think it wasn't MBA. I think Master of Finance or something. He's a comedian.
Uh-huh.
Now he's no low budget comedian. He's been around for a long time, so he's made money in doing it. I'm sure that's made him smarter in doing that. But he's a freaking comedian. He's not some brilliant mind at some CFO at some company. He's a comedian. Now, I'm not saying when college, you look at all these people that were in college. I think I heard, was it Lindsey Graham? One of those politicians were talking about college. Yeah, okay, cool. That's when college was $300 a semester.
Right. That's what I was going to mention to you later on.
Yeah.
When he went through college in the 70s, a semester was $375.
Yeah.
Now we're talking thousands of dollars.
Thousands. You can't even get a book.
And the people that have pushed them up is the politicians.
Exactly. So my thing is we're trying to attack the loan companies, which is not sustainable because they're going to stop lending. If they're not going to be able to get paid back, they're not going to lend money. It's the institution, these chancellors and these presidents of these universities making $300,000 and $400,000 a year. They're not teaching any students, but just being over their university, that's the money they're making. That's not cool to me. It's the cost of it. That's the issue. We don't need to give it away for free. No. We need to just lower the freaking cost, just like healthcare. I've told you that. It ain't the doctors, it's the cost of the freaking healthcare. The cost to do it. You go in and get stitches, it costs you $1,200 for some thread and a freaking needle. $1,200. You can probably cost you $3
to do it yourself.
One of my drugs that I get yesterday was if I didn't have insurance, was $1,033.
That's ridiculous. You know it didn't cost that much.
All right.
That's why they're mad at Mark Cuban. You heard about him, huh?
Uh huh.
Mark Cuban started his own pharmacy.
Yeah, well, so has Bezos, hasn't he?
Bezos is starting one as well.
Uh-huh.
The pharmacy, the medicine, the cost, he's giving it to you at cost.
Well, I'm so mad at CVS at the moment. I might start contacting Mark Cuban and asking him about his drugs.
You might need to, man, because the medicine, you know, it's the cost is in the medicine, and everybody. When you get up in age, you're going to be on some kind of medicine, whether it's a vitamin or some kind of supplement or something. But the cost is ridiculous to get the same meds. But anywho, yeah, man, that's that whole thing about the teachers. I come from a family of teachers, but you know.
So do I.
What's your feeling on the interest rate? I mean, it's got to go up, isn't it? After yesterday.
Oh, they've been going up.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it'll continue to go up?
Oh yeah. We got a Fed meeting in a week from today, which you know they've been saying they're going to increase them another half to 3/4 or so to try to help to quell inflation some more. So that could help, but it remains to be seen.
How much more do you think it'll go up?
Mortgage rates or Fed rates?
Fed rates.
I at most about 0.75%.
Really?
Yeah. 0.75%. I think it could go. There's been some varying opinions on if it'll be half or if it'll be 3/4. But just so everyone knows, that's not for mortgage rates. That's the Fed rates, which is different. Short-term stuff. So that if it goes up that much, the hope is that it will bring inflation down even more, which will in turn help with mortgage rates because they've been going. Man, every day we've been getting notifications that the mortgage bonds are not performing well. So.
No, when you say they're not performing well, the interest rates going up on the bond rates.
Well, the yield on them aren't great. Okay. So what ends up happening is that affect people. They stop buying them. So it starts getting lower, and the interest rate on it, you have to go up in order to make the same money. On the money you have lended out, you have to charge more up front in order to recoup the same yield in it. So it's been going up and 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 up. So
yeah, we had some in chat. Violet Sells Realty was saying she reckons interest rates for buying homes will go up to 9%.
I don't think they'll get that high. I mean that would almost ultimately kill where we are now. But
where do you think they'll go to? 7.5.
Well, they're already some of them are already in the 7s right now, depending on where your credit is. Right. I saw an estimate the other day. Somebody sent me. I was better than theirs, but the guy got quoted 7 1/8 for a refinance with cash.
I think a lot will depend on obviously how much money they've got down and.
Oh yeah, that's always a factor.
Yeah.
The more money, more skin you have in the game, the better the price can be for you. The problem we have now is that people have been so sensitive, easily influenced and go buy a house, go buy a house, go buy a house. You can do it with no money down. So nobody wants to put any money down. Even people that have money, they don't want to use it. They want to hold on to it because they want to buy a big screen TV or a sofa or refrigerator
that's the last
or
thing
something.
You can do before you buy a house.
Yeah. So that's kind of where we are with it. I don't know. It's one of those things. You're going to hear varying opinions all over the place with where they're going to be. I truly hope to God that it doesn't get to a point to where we're at 8 and 9% on regular interest rates, because that would be terrible for the market because the price of homes are not going down either. So it's one of those things where you have to kind of determine when are you going to get in on the ladder. Do you wait? Right. Or do you do it now? I got a lady right now. I had the conversation with the realtor today. We've been under contract for almost a year now. And when I started with her, the rates were in the 3s. When I sent her stuff yesterday, it's like 6.2 or something like that. So she's like, oh man, I didn't like that interest rate. I thought they were in the threes, blah blah blah. I was like, oh no, we're not there anymore. But she had an opportunity to buy back then, but she didn't want to.
Mm-hmm.
So now look at her.
She missed an opportunity right there.
One of the things that we're finding at the moment is I don't know, it's just that, interest rates are going up, but recently we've had a lot of problems with where we've had to bring counsel in for like survey problems. Surveys that have been done incorrect. Some of them with builders, to be perfectly honest, where the surveys haven't been
done wrong.
The title commitments haven't been done properly.
Can I chime in here on
that's unfortunate
on a little bit of a subject on money problem, especially people who hoard money rather than know how to spend it? It's the lack of information that they are actually getting. They do not know how to make money with their money, so that's why they always hoard it up in a bank. They don't want to spend anything.
I don't disagree with that.
Well, but that's one of the things, in my opinion, that they should teach in schools.
More of, right? More of.
They should teach that as a curriculum.
Financing 101. Yeah. Please take the damn high school course.
It's not financing. I think they should call it investing or
any kind of investing, budgeting, saving.
I think there should be more.
Now I do know this economics. As a senior,
which I've done as a subject,
right?
Which I did. Involves that,
right? So we had to do economics in high school. It was part of the class. But guess how long the class was? Half a semester. You did economics and U.S. government, kind of split them. It wasn't even a full class. That would be a perfect opportunity to talk about the importance of credit, investing, budgeting, cryptocurrency. All the stuff that we're out here dealing with, so people know. Some of these kids now, they have no clue on what's out there.
Right.
My son, I talked to my son got a job offer from Farmers Insurance.
Please tell me he took that damn job.
And oh yeah, he took the job.
Oh thank God.
And he he had been kind of going back and forth with it, and I was kind of explaining to him, which he's seen it. But just keeping his stuff together. I've always worked on trying to keep my kids' credit in line. Once they turned 16, I added them to my American Express. So once they got of age, they would have a credit score. My parents didn't do that for me. Because they didn't know, or I don't know what the situation is. It might have primarily, I think it was out of ignorance. But nevertheless, the fact remains, I was talking to him about. So now you're going into a job that you could be. I mean, Farmers Insurance is not a small company, bro. This is an opportunity for you. You can save your money, make sure you keep your bills paid. I said, that's why you got to keep your credit in line. He said, Dad, I know, I really appreciate that. I know that I'll need it, and I hear it all the time. People needing to have their credit in line. I said, trust me, man. I was there, and people treat you better when you got good credit. When you don't have good credit, They can talk to you crazy, not that it's right, but sometimes they will. But just talking to him about that and looking back on going through high school, he didn't know any of that stuff.
What I've just put in the link, can you go put
the live link now?
Screen? Yeah.
He didn't know any of that stuff, so it's important, man, to have it.
Just to let you know, this has just hit the news. Have you heard? Can you bring it up on the screen?
You sent it on the link, right?
Yeah.
The live link, let me see. That's
There's no link.
The small business one you're talking about?
US sent $1.3 billion in small business COVID aid abroad.
You put it in the podcast link in Discord.
Oh, thank you. All right. Yep, got it. Ooh, that is a lot. Okay, yeah, that is a lot.
Now, remember I've said to you in the past, when you get aid from Europe, we monitor it, we check the boxes, all right? There's more control on it. And look at this now, what Washington Post saying. US sent $1.3 billion in small business COVID aid abroad, raising new fraud fears. And it was going to basically cartels abroad. And this is what this is, and there's things like this that upset me, because the small businesses
don't get
it's
the help
so
they
difficult
need.
for us to get help. You know, I think I told you this last year. We actually took on a company that went out of business that was doing HOA because somebody had passed. We took on the business. Our wage bill tripled. We got no help, and it was such a struggle to go through the whole COVID thing. Perhaps it was 2 years ago now. And then, you know, I was calling the SBA, is there any help I can get? There was no help at all. No help whatsoever. And even if there was helpful, it was so complicated to apply for anything.
The choice of that picture was very interesting to me. the picture that they chose. Like why they choose that picture, but whatever.
And I agree with you.
The problem, like you mentioned that, because I know you went with this or had this issue before, when some lady applied for some kind of assistance, and they were supposed to send a check.
There was a woman in Miami that was a YouTube influencer that got 4.5 million.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about here locally. You said you had some organization that sent the entire check to this one lady, and she was supposed to pay the rent with it, and the landlord never got it.
One of our tenants.
And never got
it. Texas rent relief.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. $17,000. We never got paid.
No checks and balances. And then you come after the fact and say, "Oh, by the way, we sent 1.3 billion in aid, and now there might be fraud."
But it should be sent directly to the organization.
Of course. Of course. That's why they hired all these IRS agents, whether people know it or not.
But if this watchdog, the findings on money said that spending could pose a significant risk to potential fraud. In doing so, the watchdog underscored the agency's persistent, costly, and well-documented struggles to ensure its vast array of coronavirus aid benefited the cash-strapped firms that needed it most. I mean, if this did go to, you know, foreign syndicates, which is what it's basically, you know, and fraud fears, I mean, that's just...
It's unfortunate. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
That's enough money.
And not saying that it's all fraud, but here's my thing. Why would we send money if you're not here? If you're not here, why are we sending you aid from a fund for the people that are here? Small businesses that are here. I don't understand. Makes no sense to me.
It says here, but a crush of applications from foreign sources still flooded the agency over the life of its program, and the SBA repeatedly appeared to fund them anyway. Now, let me tell you what happened with us that was interesting regarding this story. Originally, we applied for one amount of money, and we got that from them as a loan, all right, which I've got to pay them back. And then they said, well, you can get it to X amount of dollars. So I applied. That's what I was told to do, was to apply for X amount of dollars, get that in the system. By the time I applied for the second lot, they'd run out of funds.
Oh, wow.
So.
And you actually had a business and needed assistance.
Yeah, you know.
And you got these fraudulent ones.
We're trying to employ people.
Right.
You know. And that's the thing that I think really should be dependent on things like this on SBA. I think that's the difference that you get in Europe and the UK. There's government assistance out there for small businesses, but we have to employ people.
Right.
We have to increase the people that we employ, you know. And there's a limit to that. I mean, sometimes it's only 2 years, you know, because it might not work. I mean, you're trying to increase your business as such.
Yeah.
So.
That's unfortunate, man. That is unfortunate.
But,
That's one more for it.
Oh, cool.
So is there anything else that we got, or is
I
that
think
it for
that's
today?
it, man. I think we'll be preparing for.
Then we've got the Texas Road Show, which is tomorrow.
That'll be tomorrow. Yep, we'll get on here and just talk about all things real estate.
Yeah.
Join us. Invite somebody.
Join us tomorrow at noon for the Texas Real Estate Show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any questions you would like.
Okay. All right, guys. Have a good week. Stay happy. Peace.
Take care.